So hi there, welcome back. Maybe for another 2-hour session. We need to take a break after 2 hours at least. And thank you for your patience to listen to. I was very, very tired. Now I think I got some fresh air, and so we can continue if you like. Yeah, so what is drawing down the moon? Well, that is mainly in the tradition I was in. It was getting possessed, you could say, or really letting the goddess take over. They worked with that like a little bit like Santeria or such in that tradition. So it's but it's called drawing down the moon when you take in the goddess, I guess you could say. And in some traditions then the goddess would talk through that high priestess mainly, or the one who does it in a coven, and she would give messages. Or drawing down the sun would be drawing in the god. But I guess there are various ways to view that as well. And the only time I spontaneously, without any thought and purpose at all, the only thing I did was a gradual relaxation. When you relax different parts of your body, and then suddenly Pachamama, just like a waterfall, poured in. And that is the only time I've felt that I channeled like that. She really took over. I was aware, but it was just her, and I wrote down everything she said. She said a lot of messages she wanted to teach about herbs, about everything. She was, the energy, and that was such an amazing thing. And it wasn't related, and I didn't ever think that would happen. I didn't search for it or anything either. And it was not at the time when I was very active in Wicca at all, even so. But I have experienced that time only, and that was spontaneously, in the sense of getting possessed, you could say. It was a really good experience, but I had to stop. Kind of in my mind said, you have to stop now, because I wanted to sleep. I was going to go to bed, just going to sleep. So I was really disturbed that she had so much without end to share and tell, and I felt like, oh no, a little bit. And the things I got also helped persons that I know that had for example, they've been ill in the back for I don't know how long time. It could have been more than 20 years and such. And Pachamama showed me just 2 very small exercises to do, and I told it to this person, and she got back good in her back that had been bad for so many years. And there were so many things that happened, so many beautiful things that happened. And this was also long before I getting in touch with the Muna key like that and everything. I read, I think, somewhere about that name Pachamama, but I didn't connect all that much. I thought, but I was obviously very open to it. And then I knew that this is my way. I took quite some time after that before I got in touch with others who practice Munaki. And that's not what I should talk about now. I start to stray immediately. All right. Yeah. So, you asked what's drawing down the moon. So I knew that I was going to be initiated into that too. that is mainly. Yeah, I think I won't continue talking now then, to make this a little bit more focused, hopefully. So we don't have to whisper now. So what is your next question? About monarchy, I will talk about that later. Make a video that you maybe want to see or such, and it's a shamanic. I'm a, let's say, I am a shaman, and I have it naturally. I've been it. It have been my way always, but monarchy, shamanic ways is something different. And although I see Wicca as also a shamanic tradition, it is in so many ways. It's very easy to see how much alike shamanic traditions it is, but it is differences as well. So I don't know. I'm mainly solitary. I learned basics, and I feel still and will always feel connected to the fairy and the Celtic Wicca, where I got taught, basically. But and initiated into Court of Joy Coven, and Laila Wiberg was my high priestess, and also she was so much more to me. She was a great mentor. We disagreed a lot and so on, but she was wow. I hold her dear in my heart, and I always did, even when we didn't really see eye to eye, if you say, and such as well. And but I am mainly solitary. I follow my own ways, which is I'm open to learn from various others, but I guess also being a medium and psychic, I learn mainly from the spirits themselves. And in some way, everyone who practices is. You open up to that in various ways. Some people need to use other tools to communicate, let's say pendulums or whatever, to communicate, but with the spirit world and ancestors and so on. And then just through themselves. But yeah, it's part of the path of Wicca to connect with the ancestors and the spirits, so on the spiritual realm. So of course you do. And the more you learn, the more you practice and learn various techniques, the more you open up to this, these abilities that we all have. So, yeah. And for some it's easier to do so. For some need to practice harder, but it's there for everyone who really wants to. So, a coven is like a group. I wouldn't say family, but it's closer to. It's closer than at least other religious communities that I've come across. At least the coven I was in was, and those more traditional ones I think are like that. It's not just like members, but everyone in the coven is a priest or a priestess. So it's really dedication to the path and a want to both learn and practice and participate and to also be open to teach if someone would approach you and want to learn after you yourself obviously have learned. And yeah, so a coven is a group of priests and priestesses practicing Wicca, and in that it involves magic together for common goals and also of course everything gets stronger in a group. It can be obviously also divided if energies goes in all directions, but if all have the same common goal and together you use the energies, that brings a lot of more power to something than if you do it just by yourself. Previously you asked about the Sabbats and so on. So in a coven, it may be many variations of this, but it's a group that practice together mainly, and also probably meet and celebrate, let's say Esbats, like the full moon together or something, and or the Sabbats, the yearly festivals, you could say, and their meaning and myths and so on, and together honor the divine in nature, in the god and the goddess. And there are so many ways to view that, but a coven is mainly a name for a group of Wiccans working together, I guess you could say. So, and I call myself then now the whispering spirit, the priestess, Wiccan priestess, whispering spirit. But I have a Wiccan name, like a secret name, a spiritual name, and that is something also that is common in covens, that the members are the only ones who know this magical name, the name you use when you work in the circle, the name you use when you work in that realm. You don't become someone else, but you you work from a different, let's say, space of yourself or something, however I should describe it. And yeah, I mean, you can be. I actually started to mention that, and then I stopped, about the books I read. Previous conversation we had, I guess I read The Mists of Avalon, maybe Starhawk's Spiral Dance first. I mean, after I came in contact with the coven, first Laura Caboton, The Power of a Witch was the first book overall that I came in contact with, or searched for, because I really wanted to learn more about that, and that was the one that I stumbled upon, which I actually liked a lot. But then through, as I mentioned, Pagan Federation and Katima in Finland, I got in contact with Laila Wiberg then, and Court of Joy Coven, and got initiated like 17 years ago now or something. I guess it was. I don't even know for sure exactly how long time ago it was. Anyways, so the books, I mean, I don't know, for example, there are various authors, like Starhawk, for example. I guess that is her Wiccan name. Or maybe she have a secret one also that she uses. Some may be public with those names. But mainly I think people have a secret magical name as well. They use just when they work in the circle, so, or in the magical realm. So yeah, so and yeah, all of these. It can be really complicated to begin with, all these Sabbats and understanding the. It can seem like a blur of various things in all directions, but it really is it if you can relax into it and all the gods and goddesses and everything. It will start to unveil itself. You will start to see through the. Maybe sometimes a chaos in the outer sense when you try to figure Wicca out logically. You will find layers after layers after layers of depths in these myths and those rituals that are also sometimes in coven played out as in a, let's say, theatrical way, although with a very strong meaning. It will really get unfolded when you are ready to see through certain things, and that's also one thing that is very beautiful with Wicca. It's not explained, and it's not really explainable. I think you need to experience it, and when you do, you get this eureka or that aha, or not maybe aha. It sounded like very. I mean, it's more than that, but also the initiations to not know a lot beforehand, to not read up on a lot, will give you. You miss some of the experience of it to just discover it if you discover things yourself. Let's say, as a simple example here, for example, when it comes to dreams, there are those who can interpret dreams for you. And that is not a bad thing. Someone can, at least to some degree, probably tell you more or less what that dream could mean. Maybe it means still something entirely different. But even if it would be the thing that person says, it's not really the same experience to it as if you, let's say, write down your dreams and you start to understand the language and you start to see the communication that goes on and the patterns, and you start to unfold it and you start to understand and unveil the messages that comes to you. That is a totally different process. And yeah, I guess that I would say so right now. As for I don't even know what I'm answering. Still doing this when I'm very tired. I don't know why I do that now, but I want to get it done, I think. I hope you will come back and ask more questions, or maybe you will get clear answers, hopefully. And nature, it varies, I guess, how you see nature. Some, I guess most, is it reverence, you say? I used to say reverence. I think it's the wrong way to say it. But I mean honor nature as well. And some see it as if the divine is within everything in nature. I view it that way, for one. I don't think it's created and without divinity in it. I mean, if you understand, it's not separated from the divine. Yeah. So, but it's a great part in working with energy and magic as well. Every natural object is very great to work with when it comes to magic. energy flows very easily, and also is very, the energy of nature or objects from nature as well and in nature is very powerful. And you also work with the elements of nature all the time. Yeah, like water, fire, earth and air and such, and spirit. So yeah, nature is like basic, and that's what you work with, that's what we are. So I guess, yeah. Do you have any more questions for now? A self-initiation ritual, you can do that in many ways. I mean, you can find many ways to do so. I think when you feel you're ready, if you want to be dedicated to this path, I don't think it's dangerous, but I don't think you should do it lightly, because I think I mean, the spirit world is real. They are with us and around us, and as I experience everything and everyone, I guess, that I've been in touch with on that, in that realm, it's very understanding, loving, and so on, patient and such. So it wouldn't be like judgmental, but still, it's like giving a promise of sorts, and you should first study and get to know what it is about, at least, so that you really know that you want to follow that path. Yeah. So you don't like do it in a whim and regret it like a week after, you know. And the way to do it, you can do it in a very, very simple way. I mean, I believe these divinities in spirit are, we can call upon them, and they are all around, and we feel really connected in some way, or drawn to some specific deity, for example. Then we will be connected. So I think, as with working with magic, you can be as creative you will, or do it as simplified as you want to. It will be as powerful, I think. Yeah, that would be my take on it for now. Yeah. And I mean, of course, you can read up on various ways to do initiations and such if you would like to, and follow the things that you feel suits you well. So use the things you like then. Nothing could be like wrong or right, or so. Or right, it could be, but I mean, yeah. It's not the exact things that we do that have the most importance. It's more the intention. So you don't have to be worried that you would do it the wrong way if your intention is right. If you really mean it and want it seriously, then it's right, and then it will be well. And I don't think it's more valid or more real or anything if someone else would do it on you or something. It all depends on your intention and dedication yourself. Then it would be That's valid, yeah. Oh, how to set up a Wiccan altar? Same answer. I'm sorry for being so boring when I answer you now, but I get, there are so many other answers you could get, so please go and get them as well from others. Maybe they would be better for you. So, but the things that you are drawn to, the things that mean something to you, I mean, to begin with, it could be a good thing that, for example, have things that represents, usually people have things that represents the god and the goddess. Also, if you're not connected to some personal deities like that, or pantheon, or so on, you can just think about it like yin and yang, or whatever, the polarities. And some people use candles only, some use statues or something, but you can have like a silver and a gold candle for the sun and the moon, or a black and a red some people use, or I mean, actually you can use whatever colors you want at the candles, but something that represents the god and the goddess then. And that's common. You don't have to do like that even, but and also something that represents the different elements, water, something for water, something for air, something for fire, and something for earth. People, there are so many variations, and as I said before, nothing is wrong. If it feels right to you, it's right for you. For example, incense for air, salt is often used as earth, but you can use like soil if you like as well, or a stone or something, or many if you would like that. And water, obviously, for water would be a good thing. And or some use what are they called, a shell? What do they call that? So you can find at the beach, something like that could also represent water. Any way you like it, really. And for fire, obviously, a candle would be suitable, maybe. And did I say all of the elements now? Yeah, and the spirit would be then the god and the goddess there at the center. So, and also the altar is oftentimes then also turned in a certain direction, and the things you have on the altar would be in certain directions, would represent those elements. As I was taught, for example, east would be air, south would be fire, west would be for water, and north for earth. And that's mainly how I think about it still. Although sometimes the things I've learned after that, you use it in a different way. So you can, the ways you feel is good for suits you, right. So you can be as creative you want. You can do it as simple as you want. You can put some flowers there, just or something beautiful things, and to also vary if you have a altar cloth or something to represent, to kind of it's common to use different things to represent also these Sabbaths or the wheel of the year, the changes that goes on and so on, and as well as things, personal things that you like or anything, but also, for example, things related to spells you do or something like that. And some people keep their altar up, and some have a portable, let's say, altar, if you call it that, where you can set it up when you need it, sort of. You can make it very tiny and simple, just just keep the basic stuff that represent the things you mean. Yeah. And yeah. So, and also some use a cauldron as well for the transformation of things, representing that, for example, and double-edged knife and a wand. I guess you've heard of a chalice, or yeah, these that are on the tarot as well. Those tools representing various things and are used in various ways. I'm sorry for being so. I'm not explaining much here, but you know, these things are also often then kept on the altar to use for the practice of magic. Yeah. But I mean, you don't have to do exactly like that. There's nothing that is wrong. Do what feels good to you. But if you want to learn about this specific tradition, it could be good to practice, at least try to practice as others do, who follow, it's what is most common, because, you get another understanding of the meaning of these various tools and such when you use them, and that can give you a greater understanding of how others work and what they mean, and so on, when they talk about or read or write about stuff or so on. Yeah. But if you work as a solitary, you can do however you like, as long as it has some meaning to you. But the altar is kind of a place where you can use things for magical purposes as well, and also put, if you have some offerings like as flowers, for example, or food or anything, and any altars, place where you celebrate or honor the divine. So but I will show you pictures hopefully. Yeah, and how to find your power animal. I think it's as with the gods and goddesses and other spirits or anything. I think it comes to you when you are ready to meet it. But there are, of course, various techniques you can use. For example, drum journeys are very common, or other ways, certain ways. When I got into contact with my main spirit animal, it wasn't at all. I didn't do anything like that. It was just there, very, very vividly in front of me, staring me in the eyes. I had my eyes closed though, but I saw it as if I had my eyes open, and it was very, very close, and and it was very surprising, nothing I expected, and I didn't search for it specifically. It came, and so I think you can't avoid it when it's time to meet it, if you're open to it. But there are other ways as well, to read up on certain things, but that's kind of that's a whole other way to go about to find it. You can feel connected to certain things. Of course, you then do have a connection, but I don't know. I think to meet your no, I shouldn't say too much. To really communicate and work with your spirit animal or animals, you kind of need to be aware of their presence and know that they are there. I guess. Otherwise it gets like a fantasy thing in your mind, or I don't know. It could still give some strength and encouragements and stuff, but yeah, I think that you need to I shouldn't say that you need to, but it's good if you can actually see and experience them, or that spirit animal, to be able to continue to work with and connect with it and learn from it and get guided by it and so on. I don't know how to do that without experiencing them. But I mean, you can just have a strong sense, an emotional attachment, sort of very strongly to something certain, and so on. It would be, I guess, more mysterious then. I mean, it's as mysterious anyways, but I mean, what do I mean? I mean that then it's a little bit less clear. It's more still the veils are there, and so, but still it can be really right, the right spirit animal that you feel that you're in touch with and such. But it's when they come through the veil and you experience them really, then that when you can start to actually work with them more. I would say you can, I'm sure anyways, but more so. That's my experience. Well, some Wiccans worship in the nude, Skyclad as it's called, and dressed in the sky, you could say, or yeah. It's not very common. For example, in the coven I was in, the Celts only were naked when they were in war. And when they were fighting, they were considered themselves already dead. So they undressed then. But, so they were without fear of death already before. But, so, in the coven I was in, that was not a common practice. I do know though that, I mean, it's not, I mean, in, what can I say, in private situations with, let's say this way, in my experience, in the whole coven situation, that wouldn't be the case. But I think that among a few or so on that will want to do some specific magic, that could absolutely occur. And also that it happens in some covens. They do practice in the nude. It's not very common, I think, though, because it's a really beautiful idea. It's not so practical always, though, because of the thing that, I mean, if you want to be outside, I mean, it's yeah, it brings some complications to it. So it's more practical actually to have robes or so maybe, and those are actually also natural materials, so that the energy can flow through them more easily and very like open. So, but I think there is a point to practicing magic in the nude, but also it's the strong connections that could easily be to sexuality, and which is also strong and great power though, or energy, but yeah, it takes another level of I guess maturity and commitment, and so dedication in even more so to not misuse it or so on. That could easily be the case, I guess, for some people in a situation like that. But I think it would be beautiful practice, though, actually. I don't see anything wrong with it, but I see complications. And you can work magic so very well without being nude. So most don't. In a coven situation, at least. And I guess you could say that all Wiccans practice witchcraft. I have never heard about any other Wiccans anyways, but not all witches are Wiccans. Not all who practice witchcraft are Wiccans. So, and the one that I talked about, the horned god, Krenonas, meaning the horned god, is the god that I connected mostly with, and I guess for most Wiccans that is maybe one of the main gods, at least, the one that is personified aside from like Mother Earth, Father, Son, and such. Yeah. And that is not the devil. Although we have horns. I don't know if the devil would have, if it would be real, any devil would have horns. That's just, I don't know where it came from exactly, but my guess is that it came from, I guess I've learned it sometime, that it came from wanting to demonize these previous pagan divinities. I mean, the Christians that came wanted to do so. So, I guess that's why. But it's more about the protector of nature and animals and such. And also spiritual power. The horns represents that. And also sexuality, fertility, those energies, and so on. But it have nothing to do with the devil. Again, it doesn't, Wicca overall doesn't include that in Judeo-Christian belief system at all, with hell and devils and such. So, and Wiccans worship the divine, I guess you could say, and it in various shapes and forms. And some see it as archetypes. When they work with, let's say, Diana, the goddess Diana, for example, something, some see it as an archetype, some see it as something more real than what I do understand and can embrace the use of archetype, but that to me they are as real as if I would call you or myself an archetype. In some way we would probably be that. I mean, but yeah, I think they are real, personified, as real as we, at the least. But they also have that dimension of symbolical meaning, archetypical meaning, and so on. So, yeah. But I think you miss a whole lot if you just view it as archetypes. Yeah, maybe. How to cast a spell on you? Well, it's the same question. I mean, that's the same answer as to many of the others questions. You know, you can do it any way you like, but it's about raising energy, being able to focus that energy towards a certain goal mainly, and let go. That's kind of the main things, I guess. And in that you can then use various in Wicca it's not that you just use magic, you can actually also, it's not that prayers are not used. You communicate and connect with the spirit world as well, so you don't have to do it all by yourself fully all the way out, but also use you can use certain things that is correlated then or in tune with your purpose for the spell, as I said before, like specific herbs or whatever you would use. And that in combination with using your energy and focus, and so is how you, for one thing you can do it in so many ways. The variations are unlimited actually. It's limited only by our imagination, how creative we are. We can use anything and do it in any way we want, but it's the energy and focus and intent is most important. Without that, we can't do magic without that. So we can't cast any spells, or they will be like scattered. So, but you can do it. It's very simple. It doesn't have to be any complicated rhymes or rituals around it. But it can be if you feel that brings power to it. That's a good thing as well. So any way you would like it to be, actually. Yeah, as I said about the Wheel of the Year, it's about the cycle of the sun, and also related to so many things. Our whole life process, being born and youth, getting mature and aging. There are so many things involved in this Wheel of the Year, representing and symbolically, and also the cycles of everything, how everything goes in cycles, how the nature moves, and that things doesn't die. There is a new spring. Nature teaches us so much if we are aware, if we are conscious and connected. And we are somehow, in our world today, we are very much disconnected from the natural world and so on. So we miss a whole lot of those just obvious truths that you can really experience and see how reality works, and how beautifully organized it all is. So you can start to work with the cycles and the rhythms of the universe, you could say. So the Wheel of the Year is like the cycle of the sun throughout a year, and various festivals or Sabbats during that year. Every other month there is a Sabbath. 4 lesser ones for the, as I mentioned before, for the lesser Sabbats, and for which is the solstices and the equinoxes, and then the 4 greater Sabbats that are focused on deeper mysteries, you could say. And Gaia is the same as Mother Earth. And to me, when I channeled Pachamama, as also is the name for Mother Earth, that's when I then it really clicked that this is a living consciousness, a living being, our Mother Earth. It's not a thing we just can use and walk on, or we can, but we are then very disconnected. It's a consciousness, a being, and she loves us very dearly. And that was an amazing experience. And it also was pretty amazing that when I channeled Pachamama, the energy was flowing like a waterfall. But it came through my crown chakra and down, which I was surprised by. Like as if I thought that Pachamama or Mother Earth would be like only able to be inside the earth. Like as if she wouldn't be able to come in that way, sort of. I don't know why that's really limited. But to others that seems insane. And I do get that. Before I experienced it, although I actually even before then experienced just the life energy in nature and in everything, and how divine it is, I already felt that. But that Mother Earth would be alive, obviously, because everything in nature is alive. But being a conscious being, that was like, whoa, very, very. It turned things a little bit upside down for me, actually, in a great way, though. But so surprising. I was open to all of these various deities, all kinds of whatever names or so on, or from whatever culture. But still was something different to get that Pachamama or Mother Earth is a goddess, divinity, divine being. That was like absolutely different. And still it is, kind of. But I got that anyway. So to me, that's what Mother Earth or Gaia is. And that's a whole different way of viewing it than that I did before. So how to invoke, that is easy. There are also many ways to do that, but if you have the intent to connect with the spirit world overall, it's more about our own perception, our own disbelief and blocks that make us keep it away. Both that it would shake us up maybe too much if we opened up, and we know that, so we take it slow, and that's good. But there are certain techniques you can use, obviously, in, for example, Wicca. There are some common practices to invoke. You do this and that and so on. But actually, those are with us and around us and so on all the time. And if we want to connect with any of those, or if we would then generalize it more like a overall god or goddess, or however we would call it, and we would invoke that, they would respond. No doubt. We may not be all too sensitive always maybe not experience it. That also takes a bit of a training to be able to tune into or be receptive or perceive the other realm, if you would say, or so then it could be a good way to follow certain steps and practices and do the invocation in a specific way, because it's not because it's something you exactly say that is needed or do, but that it may be easier to shift consciousness and be able to be aware of what happens, so to speak. This is harder to talk about than I thought. Yeah. And so yeah, I have not myself been very focused on spells and such. The magic I've worked or done have often been also concentrated on helping others who have been critically ill or something like that. I think, yeah, to me I'm mostly a shaman. I'm drawn to do that, helping and healing, so yeah. And divination, yeah, you can use anything. I will do many videos about that, I guess, also, that many would fall asleep to if anyone would listen. But yeah, tarot, oracle cards, obviously, I Ching, runes. You can use in I Ching, I've said that before, but I use yarrow sticks, and you can use coins, 3 coins as well, and you can use a pendulum. You can use, there are so many ways. You can scry also in all kinds of things. That takes a little bit more practice, I guess, than though. But when you have, I guess, relaxed so much, it's about relaxation, being receptive. And it's very easy also to scry in like earth or water or fire or air or whatever, really. So that's one form of divination, actually, I think you could say. Yeah. But I will go into all of these, maybe not in depth, because that would take forever, but I will at least go into it more, each of these things to come. So and I think it's easy to forget also what you did. To me, when I've taught this a little bit to some people, and oftentimes it's easy to give up before you start to see results, because it takes a lot to begin with, and that's needed. For example, those very in one sense simple but very important practices like grounding and centering, being able to, what can I say, not being able to, but to practice, to feel the energy, these kinds of things, that before you feel it clearly and know what you experience, by also getting some confirmation about it. That's when you see how it works exactly in the outer world as well. So you see the reflection there. Then that's when you understand how powerful it is. But before then, the steps to take before then, the training or the practice to do with your mind, to keep having patience doing that, can seem a little bit, I guess, tiresome. Yeah, I think, but it's very, very important though, because it can really shake you up. So it's very important to be grounded. You can, for example, think that you have like roots that stretch down into the earth, into the center of the earth, maybe. Even I have had to me it have been very easy to just lift off and fly away instantly. So I sometimes had to do very, very, very grounding visualizations and practices to even do some visualizations, because I've just my spirit have just been lifting off otherwise, and many times to begin with when I started Wicca, because of I have been through psychosis before. And it was, I was like in between the worlds already. I wasn't really landed in this world, but Wicca really helped me to land in my body, because of these journeys that I did, which I had no control of whatsoever. I just went with it. What could I do? So when I did some of these journeys that I practiced in the beginning, I just didn't know if I would ever come back. I just, because I went so far. But that was needed for me to learn how to control it, how to not be afraid, and to just follow the flow in one sense, and also to control the being in the body, or let's say move or take a journey outside of it. So but that took a really long time, I guess a couple of years, before I started to have some control of my that. And then I also got very much more control. I got control of my dreams, my nightly dreams as well, and I could do whatever. So it was very efficient, but it was not easy. It was not easy, but I think it was my only way to fully come back into being in my body. I was like half outside of it all the time before then. So, and to keep your sanity when you get in touch with strong experiences like this, magical, or all kinds of religious experiences, whether it would be in Wicca or any other tradition, actually, all kinds of, they are I mean, yeah, I just use that word because I don't come up with any better word, but it shakes you up, sort of. It turns things around, and it's good to have a solid ground and feel quite solid and centered to deal with that in a good way, because still it will kind of shake up your world, and you have to reevaluate a lot of things that you experienced before and so on, in the face of the things that you see then. Maybe even if you're interested in these kind of topics, before you see how it works, then you don't really understand it. It's when you know, that's when it both get more tempting to misuse, and also I almost fall asleep when I talk. I'm very, very tired. Still I kind of want to do this. So, yeah. I don't know what I was going to say there. But those basic techniques may seem very like like anything that is taught by any, I mean, great techniques can be spread around without anyone really almost knowing the value of them. So, but don't get discouraged if you start in the right end, if you say it's basics, and then gradually go forward when you master one thing, and that will both be so much smoother to come. And also it will, if we now should use the word of protection again, it will be protecting your mind, really, your psyche. Because you will get in touch with your own that's one thing with Wicca. You will get in touch with your subconscious, with your shadow. And sometimes things are there that are not so comfortable, or almost always. And that can be scary, and that can... it's really, really needed to be in some sort of balance, actually. More balance than I was in when I did this, but I still needed it, and it was, I guess, the only way that I could get in balance. But I guess I wouldn't, if I met myself then, I wouldn't have recommended it still, but I would have done it anyhow, with or without a teacher. I was so determined and so drawn to it, so I couldn't go any other way. And also as a kid, I met her. I've mentioned this before. I think this will be a very long story, so I think I will just make it very short. Me and my friend Sophie, we thought we had a dream as kids. This was, let's say, we were maybe 16 at the time, and we knew each other all our lives. And suddenly, some of us started to talk about a dream we had, or that one of us had then when we were small, and the other one said, "What? I had that dream too," when she was also small, or whomever it was who started talking about it. We were up walking in the woods or forest where we lived there with the dogs we had, and then we were in the area where we had a dream that we came to a witch's house. Actually, this sounds so far out there, but this is actually true. It is true. And we started filling in, and we remember the tulips outside of the house. We remember how the house looked, and she invited us in, and only one of us dared to go in, and no one of us remember who it was. But I do think it was me, actually. But I don't remember it. I just figure it must have been me. And she invited us for coffee, and no one of us liked coffee, kids. But anyways, one didn't dare go in, and I think that was her. Then we didn't. We remember where it would have been, in the woods there, but there was nothing. Just old trees, very old trees. Those with beards hanging from them and stuff. And then another time we decided to go and look for where it could have been, that little house. Because we were really stunned that we had the exact same dream, or could it have had happened for real? Because at the time we were maybe just 6 years old or so. When we had that dream, but we both still remembered it. If it now was a dream, it wasn't. I think it was some time lapse thing going on. Anyways. Then we went looking, and this was just like maybe a couple of weeks after we talked about it and was walking there when we were 16, about that age then. And then we came to a place where there were like very tiny, thin trees, and we had never seen that before, and we had walked around there so many times. Very thin, new trees. And we thought, what is this? Like, we were a little bit surprised of that. And then we saw a stone, round sort of stones as a foundation, small foundation, almost like very small though, but maybe the size that could have been the house, but we thought it may have been something we were talking about what it could be, something that planes would have, like marks to see where we were discussing what it could be or what. We had never seen that anyways, and it was close to the trail we were walking at always, so it was strange, all of it. But we remembered the dream so vividly, so we could kind of find our way there then. So what happens then was that next time we went there, it was like a third. No, maybe we didn't go there together then, I'm not sure. But after that time, when I lived very close, so I always kind of walked there with the dogs. And maybe I was alone then, I don't know. But then it was not there anymore. I think we actually went there together also one more time, and it was gone. We couldn't find any thin trees and no like stone foundation or anything. We didn't find it. It was those old trees with bare just. So that's very strange. And we both, it's just so strange. And I do think that it was a witch who lived there, and who already then knew that I was one. Okay, it's getting out of hand. But anyways, and also there was at the same area quite close another time, maybe, I don't know, maybe like around that time actually, when I also walked. We had 2 golden retrievers, and I was walking a bit from that place, but pretty close. There was this huge, those largest kind of owls with those, huge one, sitting in a cut off, quite a high tree though, but it was cut off. It was sitting there, and I didn't see it. It was so still. So I came very close. I was like how far away could I have been? Like 5 meters or something from it. And the dogs were running in front of me. Strangely enough, they didn't. Like, they should have felt the scent, I feel, or seen it or something. But when I saw it, I was coming, like, it was like a little bit steep upwards. When I saw that, and they turned, they knew where we used to go, so they just was running and playing. And this one just looked me so straight, you know how they look in the eyes, and I was so freaked out, scared. It was so huge, and I just looked at the dogs and was scared that the owl would fly and take one of the dogs because it was so huge. So I just quickly walked by and was close with them. So, sorry, I get too eager now when I talk. But I think maybe that. This is, I know. Just put whatever diagnosis you want on me. Anyways, I think it might have been that witch. I think so. Or maybe it was. The owl is also one of my power animals or spirit animals that I've seen now and then. Not very, very often, but now and then. Anyways, so, okay, I don't know however I got into that, but I have no clue why, really. Any more questions? The Wiccan traditions. Well, as I said, I have not read up on a lot. There are great people on YouTube, for example, having videos about this. If you really, those who have studied a lot about the history and traditions. So if you're really interested, you can actually find many of those here who are. And if you want to ask me about whom I would recommend, I could also do that. Because there are those who like have a little bit more knowledge than others, and I have such a bad memory, and also I've not read a lot about various traditions like that. I'm not really interested, actually. I feel it's good to know where, and at the time when I started, I read up and I wanted to know where it came from and all that. So I have studied it, I've looked it up, in a sense at least. But the interest for me was just the practice of it in the now, more than wherever it actually came from. But it's good to still know the roots or how it came about. And it's not an old tradition, it's or an old religion as it's sometimes called, but it's sometimes I guess it's have do you say commonalities? No, I don't say that. It can be a bit alike old religions or traditions in sense, I guess. I mean, many of those native traditions have the same kind of some things that are like you're working in a circle with all the elements and all such things. So, but the whole Wicca tradition is pretty new, anyways. Not new, you would say nowadays. I don't even know when it started, but I mean there is a tradition quite far back. At least those who began are not alive anymore on this plane. But yeah, I'm just. Oh gosh, I thought I would do this really concentrated. Oh, I should never ever think that again. And as I said, it have no connection whatsoever. I'm sorry for skipping that quite quickly. Maybe I should go back. I mean, if you are interested, you should obviously check out various traditions, what you feel most drawn to, what would suit you the best, because they differ quite a lot, I think, at least. So both the traditions that are now and also read up on the history of it and so on, maybe, if that feels right for you. And yeah, I don't think there is one that is better than any or so on. It depends on what you are interested in, really. And it's really you who have to be the engine. If you want to learn that, I mean, there are those who also charge. I don't mean that it's wrong to charge for your time if you put a lot of effort and time into something, but still I come from that line where there were no money involved at all. But what is involved is your that you are engaged, that you are the engine who want to learn, and you have to be the one who have the questions and want to share and want to move on in the practice. There is no one who is going to draw you or try to convert you. It all have to be a pull from within you, whatever tradition you're interested in. So yeah, but it's not connected to Satanism or something like that. It's not even, I mean, as I said, it's not even in the same world view. So the belief in Satan doesn't exist in Wicca. I don't think. I have not ever heard that anyways. There may be one Wiccan who believe in Satan. No, probably more than one. But I mean, it's not, overall, it's not, I have never heard about it. I don't think it's, maybe it doesn't even exist actually. I mean, I don't believe Satan exists, but I do believe that maybe Wiccans who believe so. Who knows? But I've never heard it. And how to become a high priestess. I think as I said, I dropped off, if you would say, from the coven, and after then I have still learned a lot, and also being a psychic medium, I think I would get information needed to the one I would teach if anyone wanted to get taught by me. So yeah, I feel that I also am a high priestess because I teach it, and I have what I need to do so, I'm sure. Although I do not have, some people would consider it like you need to have a coven to be a high priestess. I don't think that's necessary. I think you can teach on an individual level, and that's what it means mainly. It's not that you are actually higher or better or have some authority in one sense. Yeah, in a coven, I guess. Yeah. What can I say? That also is a word that sounds very harsh in some way. Priestess is very beautiful and soft, like a princess almost in my ears. While high priestess is like this evil stepmother figure, I don't know. In some fairy tale, no. But it means literally, or yeah, to me at least, that means that you teach it. And in traditions and in covens, that is probably when you have gone through several initiations and yeah, several years of practice. Yeah. And it's not only time or and so on, it's that you have managed to master certain skills. And that is the important thing. And when it comes to the spells again, yeah, I want to talk about that more actually, because it's the same answer to every question about that. You mean you could go into, and maybe I will sometime, because it's quite fun, but you know how creative you can be with that. But it's no set rules or limits to what and how you can do that. You yourself decide that. And the more it means to you, the things you use and the way you use it and what you do, the more effect it will have. So, yeah. Okay, I will have to stop soon. 4 hours. Just trying to hope someone can fall asleep. So, and the casting of a circle, it's like making your church where you are, creating a sacred space where you can worship and where you can meditate, where you can do magic, whatever you like. I do that sometimes, more so now since I started with Munaki. It was a while when I didn't create a sacred space so often, only when I did a certain specific magical workings or something. Otherwise I just, lit a candle or whatever. But now I do it a lot more. And I have a little bit of a different feel about it. Not that I always liked it, I just didn't feel always that it was so needed. And I don't still feel, I don't think I feel that it's always needed now. It's more like it's a very beautiful process, and I remind myself when I invite the 4 spirit animals or archetypes or whatever you would then say of Munaki in the directions and such, and Mother Earth and Father Sun. There is so much more that I do. It's also about about some shadow started to show itself on my computer. I don't know. I've never seen that before. Interesting. That's why I was quite. It's more like a very beautiful process that reminds me of this transformational process, and about the things that I work with. It have a different meaning to me now when I work with Munaki, but I still do this sacred space and circle, and much more often now. And not maybe every day, but at least every week. Sometimes every day even, depending on what kinds of stuff I do. And I enjoy to do it in a different way, or I should explain it. But how you do it, then you can do it in so many ways. That too. I think you can just search for that on, for example, YouTube. There are many, and they are as good as any videos I guess you can come across. But don't think that if someone says that this is the right or only way to do it, I guess you should not listen to those. That's one way you could, and you can try that and feel if that feels good for you then to do. But there is no only way to do anything. There are so many ways. So, and the triple goddess. I won't go into too much of that, but the phases of the moon often also is when you see that there is a full moon in the center and the two halves on each side. If they're not two halves, but the whatever. Yeah, I don't know what the words is for that. On the sides, representing the maid and mother and the crone, and it represents various processes of ourselves and of life itself, and also there are some goddesses that are more like maiden or so goddesses, and some are more mother goddesses, and some are more, and some include more or less the whole spectrum there. But to get in touch with different energies that you need for various workings, or so you can connect with a specific one of these energies. It will give a different infusion of energy. If you do so. I explained this really, really complicated. So, yeah. I would just leave that. But that's a common concept in Wicca. Because if you use the general concept of God and Goddess, as is used oftentimes if large groups work together, then they won't call it a named, personified God or Goddess, maybe. This is also such a more general concept, including all goddesses in it. But you can also tap into one of these aspects of the goddess to when you need to get in touch with that specific energy for some reason. I don't think anyone get wiser from this, but maybe someone is falling asleep. At least I am very, very, very soon. Okay, so Wicca is a religion, quite a new. It's a pagan religion, but there are many pagans who aren't Wiccans. Yeah, that's that. Yeah. And there are, when it comes to spells, you can do so in so many ways. There is no end to it, so I couldn't go into it all. It would be more fun than to like. I've seen those. Not that I've watched a lot of videos around these topics actually, but I've seen maybe 3, very few, but videos about kind of someone doing a spell or something. But the thing is, when you do sort of like a video like that, for example, you don't see the important part. You just see that outer thing, while the really important thing is this build-up of energy, this focus, this intention, this release of the energy, these things that you cannot capture on film is the most important parts of it. And so that seemed to me, it's a little bit also when you cast both a spell, but also when you do the circle, the whole space, then also it seemed very empty if you have not learned. I mean, if you don't see what is unseen, if you don't see the invisible that goes on as well, or feel it, it becomes a sort of, if you look at it from outside without experience it, it gets seem like a very empty or just random, half meaningless maybe thing. So you can't really film what's going on. So, but then it would be more fun than to talk about how to do a spell anyways, to for example, probably do one practically, some sort of spell and show that. So maybe someday I would do that. Yeah. Although most of those things you do are very personal or private, but you can do it just for show though. And what is called the Great Goddess is this general concept of the goddess. To me, that usually, I don't know really. Personally, I think about Kundalini Mata Shakti, this universal Shakti, universal energy, meaning the counterpart of the consciousness, the energy form of consciousness. But it mainly is a concept that involves all goddesses. So that Wiccans who worship, for example, if they are priestess to carry them, for example, then if they worship with other Wiccans or talk with other Wiccans, they can. We can use the word the goddess. We don't have to. I mean, we still worship also the great goddess, the goddess itself. Not only the personified version, which we probably ourselves also are in one way. So, oh gosh, how much I stray, right? And yeah, I've never heard any Wiccans who does not welcome homosexuals or anyone, anything like that. The Dianic Wiccans, which sometimes aren't even considered Wiccans, I think, but by some, but they practice just with women, and I am very drawn to that lately, although I have a much easier time to connect with men, mainly. I think women are very strange to understand still, and to begin with also when I practice, that really reflects my relationship to the God and Goddess. I see that to work with those energies or concepts or archetypes, whatever you would call it, also is working with yourself. So the Karananas I could really connect with. It was very easy. But the goddess, she was like, I couldn't, I tried in so many ways to find some connections there. And now I have a strong connection in many ways to various goddesses I have had, and that's very clear and strong. And she came, like as I said, with totem animals and such. When I was at that space, when I could receive that energy, when I was open for that, she came through. It didn't matter that I was open for it and wanted it, but as long as I, or not as long as I, but when I searched for it, when I wanted to connect with that side of it as well, I just couldn't kind of find it. It felt very, in the mist for me. I couldn't like see her, like, connect with her very well. Yeah, but now I do. I have no clue why I said that. Yeah, just that it reflects us all. But yeah, the Dianic Wiccans. So now I feel they wouldn't allow male members, but I think they, as every other Wiccan, I don't think they have any problems with anyone who would be homosexual or anything else. That would be surprising if they did. I've never heard anything like it. So, but I'm sure there are exceptions. There are always exceptions. But overall, I think that is very unusual. It's many are very well. What can I say? Okay, I will just skip what I was even thinking about saying. And what common beliefs do Wiccans have? I mean, yeah, the god and the goddess, however you would then describe that. But the polarity there, although as an exception, no, the Dianic Wiccans also, I think, consider the god. I just have to mention that because they're a little bit different. But they, I think, because the divine have been worshipped for so long time, just in the male perspective form, they focus only on the female in that sense as well. It's not that they deny the male side of God, if you would say. And this does not have with gender to do exactly. It's more obviously about the various qualities and energies of these opposites, if you would say. And I think I've mentioned many of the things that are probably common to the beliefs of Wiccans. Believe in magic, believe in a contact with the spirit world, and that we can that we have a lot of potential that we don't use, and that we can learn how to use it. And it's not, it sounds very like I guess to some that it will sound like people who live really in their fantasy dream world, which could also be the case sometimes, maybe, but that's really not at all the case. It's pretty far from it. Many have studied for a long time and really are very bright and question things, and so it's far from it what it can be perceived as from the outside when you just kind of hear about it or think about it. But if you listen to me, you will probably think that it's for those who are pretty lost in their ways. I don't know. But the common beliefs is, and also that the divine at least also is in nature. Maybe not all think that it's embodies nature, if you would say, but I should have written something down and read because, but still. Okay, now I will kind of end this, I guess, because I have no clue what else to say, and I probably should have started this. I am so I don't know, so eager to do videos, but I should have used the time to plan it still. Anyways, so, and one of the ways to like invoke the goddess, for example, would be to recite, for example, the Charge of the Goddess is very well known. I haven't actually put up a video some time ago, part of this at least. There are longer, more beautiful ways to express that as well, but maybe I will put that link below. So, but that is one way. You can use those as well as you can use certain gestures or so on, or words, or whatever practices to open the circle, or cast a circle, and to invoke both guardians in the court, or the each of the four directions, and the god and the goddess. You can use these, and it could be good to use common practices to start with, to get acquainted with them before you do whatever you like, because it gives a structure to it which can be great to hold on to, and also make it easier to shift consciousness, and yeah, sometimes it's more difficult to just go by your own whim without having a set structure to hold on to, but it would work anyways as well. It's not that it would be wrong, or that you have to say a certain magical word, and then everything would kind of shift. It's not like that. It's maybe that's obvious, but yeah, So, for example, some people, or quite many, I guess, at least in coven situations, use the Charge of the Goddess to, and when they recite this, then they get into, because they know that their subconscious will know that now it's time to go into this other space, and also using that, maybe when using that magical name and everything, certain things as you do when you may have heard that when it comes to just meditations or whatever, you can, if you sit at the same place, it's much easier to go back into relaxation. Or if you just, when it comes to falling asleep, for example, if you read in the bed and do other things in the bed, okay, maybe some exceptions there, you may have sex or something if you like, but other things, if you read or watch TV or something from the bed, it's much harder to fall asleep in the bed. Because if your body knows that every time you go to the bed you should fall asleep, it's much easier. The body just goes into that space, or your consciousness also. And that's the same thing with this. If you do a certain ritual or in certain ways, that triggers you to much easier be in that space in between the worlds, you could say, or somewhere. Yeah. So, I guess that was maybe it. And you should really connect with someone who, if someone asks, I would mention to that person or something. I don't think I would recommend someone in videos for now, but there are those who are really great around, which I know, I mean, that I know have deep knowledge, and so if someone are interested, I may recommend others that are, if you're interested in like connecting with a coven or such. I hesitate a bit though, because no one is following the ways that I am taught in, that I know of around here, because many charge for it, and if I knew someone who didn't, I would prefer that. I mean, to recommend that, because it's not that it's wrong to charge, absolutely not. It's just that, I don't know, I'm really happy anyways that I found what I found the way I did, and that it was for free. It kind of, the purity of the purpose of it, and the seriousness felt much, much more deep to me. And also that it was, although it was a structure to the teachings in the coven, what came first and how you learn, still it was flexible to wherever each person were, I think. But at the same time, there was no time frame, in the sense that you should push yourself faster than you were. You just practiced whatever it was until you knew how to master that, and then you took the next thing and practiced that, and so on and so forth. So in your own time. So that is one thing also that is, I think, very important. Okay, so right, I will probably keep this up for 1 day with no likes, and then I take it down and try to do better ones to come, probably. Yeah. Okay, I hope you're asleep already, sweet, lovely viewers, and I hope you don't give up on me. And please come with questions. So I would love it. I'm not sure I could answer though, but if you do have any, don't hesitate to ask. All right, much love to you all. Blessed be.